We're going to look a little bit at hamstring stretches today. So this might be quite new to you, or you might have been doing hamstring stretches a lot, but it's always good to look at pointers and refresh ourselves about how to do it the best we possibly can. So this starting position is, I would say, the best position to ensure that you're controlling the direction of your force, pressure of your force, and make sure everything's as safe as it can possibly be. However, I will also show you some different variations on a hamstring stretch, because obviously doing this on a daily basis, it's not everybody's most fun thing to do, so a bit of variety can make it fun, make it more playful, but as I say, this is a great starting position to get your technique correct. So first of all, I'm going to pop my leg over Eve's lower leg, just over her thigh, and her leg can rest over the top. The reason I'm doing that is this leg often likes to ping up at the hip, especially if there's a little bit of tightness in the hip flexor as we're doing the stretch. So this keeps her leg down and gets an extra sneaky stretch on that hip flexor here. So first of all, the important thing is to make sure that as we're doing this stretch, we're keeping her lower limb in alignment. So a hip, knee and ankle should always be in a nice straight line. And we're taking up her thigh so that we're getting a 90-degree position here between her trunk and her thigh. I'm going to place my hand just above her knee, and I'm actually going to go for my handling under her, just above her ankle, sorry. So her leg is a little bit weighty. As you get bigger, it gets weightier, so it can be a little bit hard sometimes to hold here and control the leg properly. My stretch, I'm going to be pushing the leg up so that I'm getting a nice straight leg. So this hand is stopping the leg from wobbling and moving, and this hand is doing the stretch and the control. So I'm taking it up to where it's nice and comfortable and nice and slowly. We don't want any fast or jerky movements, and you will feel a little bit of resistance. You just want to hold it there, and we're aiming for around a 20 to 30 second stretch, and you'd be repeating this around 5 times. If you feel that the tone is melting, or you feel you can go a little bit further, then very gently just add a little bit of extra stretch, and you're just holding it there. So it's all very nice and slow and smooth, all in one direction, and that helps to keep all the forces in alignment, and we're just holding it there and having a really good stretch. So that is the best way to start with a hamstring stretch. Obviously, don't forget the other side. Another common way to stretch the hamstrings is a long sitting position, but there's lots of ways that this position can go a little bit wrong, so I'm just going to go through it point by point. So first of all, this happens, so you get quite a rounded back, and what that's doing is it's taking the stretch off the hamstrings. So I would advise you to bend the knees up to start with, and then sit really tall. If you can, then relax those knees back down to the floor, and you'll feel that stretch through the back of the leg. However, it might be uncomfortable, and you definitely might not be able to keep it there for very long. So, bending those knees back up until you can maintain that position, but also feel a stretch under your knees. You may need a little bit of a cushion under those legs to relax down onto, and then you can sit in that position for quite a long period of time, maybe 10-15 minutes watching a film. Well, a film would be really long, wouldn't it? But you know, an episode of something on television. Be careful not to use an iPad or something here which would encourage that flexion down, because you'd be looking. Something over on the wall would probably be preferable. To make it even easier, so you have to do even less thinking, I would use a door to prop yourself up against, so you know that this position is going to be the same. So if Eve just hotches over to the door, we'll bring her over. So the most important thing, as I've said, is to get that hip position correct. So if she bends her knees up, I want her to bring her hips right back in against the door. So push yourself up, in you go. So that is a great back position, but the door is now helping her. She can flatten those legs if she wants to, or again, we're just adding in the cushion under the knees to take a little bit of that stretch off. So that is a great long sitting position, and she can stay there to watch her programme on television. So yeah, that would be a longer stretch rather than a short stretch where you're working like the other stretch was 5 times of a 30-second stretch. This is more of a held position, so you're looking at 10-15 minutes. But start small and build up. So here are 2 further hamstring stretching ideas, just to give you some different variations. These are probably better for smaller children, and I'm going to show you a couple for older children in a minute too. So first one is just like long sitting, but we're going to use legs up the wall. So we're going to have a lie down and swing those legs up against the wall. And so you just want to bring them over and then in. So they're going to be telling you when they can feel that stretch. So Eve is able to get her bottom right against the wall, and she can definitely feel that stretch in her legs. However, it doesn't need to be in as high as that. Her bottom could be, a good 5 centimetres away. So as long as they're feeling that stretch through the hamstring, that's absolutely perfect. Now, in this position, you can do a little bit of playing, you could do a little bit of reading, again, a little bit of iPad time, lots of different things you can do, and it's just a little bit different from the long sitting. Okay, so that's one. Now we're going to swing out of this one. Whee! And we're going to come and have a look at doing a forward lean to have a little read of a book. So you just want to find a table or stool. You can even go down lower onto a bench, depending again on the hamstring length. You might only be tipping a very small amount, because what you're looking for is the pelvis here. Now, if you're tight in your hamstrings, you're more than likely going to keep your pelvis up and round the back. We don't really want that. We want the pelvis to tip forwards and a flatter back. So that's pretty perfect. What you might find is that the knees kind of lock back, and we want soft knees, or you might have AFOs on. So I would be here, and I would really be encouraging a bend in those knees. So I'm just using my handling with a little bit of a rotation. So it's an outward rotation of my hands. That's a bit over exaggerated, so a little less there. And I can control these knees. There we go. So I'm keeping those knees nice and soft, and she's getting a really good stretch there through those hamstrings. To make it probably a little bit better, we can try and make sure that the feet are pointing forwards. So imagine they're on train tracks. And we're going to get that one forwards as well. Softening those knees and getting that great stretch through those hamstrings. Depending on how long you can tolerate this, try and get through reading a full story or having a game. Just be aware also of the elbows. They're not locking. You just want soft elbows as much as you want some soft knees as well. So it gives you another little variation there for a little bit of hamstring stretching. We have a couple of ideas for doing your hamstring stretches if your child is getting a little bit bigger and their limbs are getting a little bit heavier. So we looked at doing the lying down stretch from the side, but sometimes as the legs get heavier, that can be a little bit more challenging to manage the weight of the leg as you're doing the stretch. So I would actually come from the bottom end for this stretch, and I would straddle one leg, which gives us a little bit of control over that leg. If the hip is raised and the knee is raised, and you know that's going to happen during the stretch, you can even use a folded scarf just across the knee, so under your leg, not quite got the knee there, so under your leg, over the knee, and under your other knee. So you're just keeping that knee down with the scarf. And then you can bring this leg up into this position. So I'm going to be holding around the thigh, and again you can hold above the ankle there, or if you want to, you can hold around the foot, just depends on what's comfortable for you. And you're following the same principles as the first video, which is you're keeping the hip, knee, ankle all in a nice line, and you're working from a 90-degree position at the hip. What's nice about this position is you can get your arm under, and if you've got a weightier leg, you can much more easily bring it into a nice hamstring stretch in this position. If the leg is extremely heavy, you can actually even use your body to support that. So you can put the foot onto your shoulder, and you can bring that up from there. So it just helps you and gets you in a really nice position for getting the best hamstring stretch possible. So that's one idea for a heavier leg. As children get older, it's also quite nice to try and get them to do some self-stretching. So a hamstring stretch, you can do the long sitting, but I would also suggest trying to work, if they can, on a standing stretch. So I'm just bringing this in for a little bit of balance. And Eve's going to have a stand up, and she's just going to put her hand on there for a little bit of balance. She's going to turn around to me, facing the video, and we're going to work on that hamstring stretch. So we're going to bring one foot forwards in front of the other so that the toe and the heel are in line. And I'm here as well, so she can rest on me and rest on that chair. So the idea with this one is she's going to be bending this standing knee so that the other leg is going into a really straight, long position. So the more she bends this leg, the more stretch she's going to get on those hamstrings. You can rest a hand onto the supporting leg, which is this one, if you want to, for a little bit of stability. So can you do that? Can you put this hand on that leg? And you can get a little bit more stretch. So you can be there and you can really encourage them. They can use a wall or something to hold on to. And again, this is a stretch where you're working towards 30 seconds and then repeating 5 times. So this isn't a passive hold like the long sitting where you're just holding the position for around 10-15 minutes. This is one where you're stretching and then relax. So you can have a stand up. And then when she's ready, she can go into that stretch again. So bending this knee and stretching. So this is more advanced for somebody who is able to do a standing stretch. However, it's great to get children learning how to do their own stretches as early as possible, as it makes it easier for you, and then they know how to manage their condition as they get older.